Right before she died of a drug overdose, I had no idea she was taking drugs.
It gets you addicted. I mean, I started out like any drug, just doing it once a week. Then it became twice a week. Then it became almost every night, smoking a little bit. Then it became waking up with it, doing it all day long.
I didn't get to see my daughter, but her dad did.
He was a heroin addict. He, you know, had struggled with heroin for a long time, but he had been clean for a year.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, God, why? Why did you drive?
I looked to the left and I saw like this white truck, and I couldn't say nothing. I said, I go, oh Jesus, like that, and it hit us.
You will be convicted of a felony if you're caught selling this stuff.
And what you don't really realize that you're putting your life in danger and everybody else around you in danger, and it's just not worth it.
It was 8 minutes from the time the officer left, and that my daughter was killed.
Broke my back at T12, severed my spinal cord, had a punctured lung, a torn diaphragm, and several broken ribs, and that's what left me paralyzed at the waist, and you got a speeding ticket. That's it.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Here we are, live in the afternoon. Just as we promised. We had some technical difficulties last night after the big premiere event, and so I wanted to come back and I'm going to try again, give you guys a chance to talk hopefully without the camera shutting down or whatever happened. I think it was a battery issue, but not sure. So anyway, here we are. I have coffee. Go figure. Isn't that a surprise? So who has joined us here? And yeah, I see we only have a few viewers right now. Are any of you guys the usual suspects we see here? I don't see the names in what I've got in front of me here, and so I gotta ask: is it or who's here? Why don't you share with us? Introduce yourselves. Typically, the kind of things that we talk about here are mostly about addiction recovery. That we have several regular suspects who really like to support people that are in recovery. Like they really provide some wonderful encouragement and supporting comments, insight, suggestions about things like AA or Al-Anon if you're a family, if you have a problem with a family member, things like that. So that's cool. We have a new story that will premiere tomorrow mid-morning, at least mid-morning here in Houston. Mid-morning, I believe, 10:30 Central Time. So just kind of, do the math and figure it out. That'd be 9:30 on the East Coast. And I'm sorry. That would be 9:30 Mountain Time, and that would be in the East Coast. That would be 11:30. So there you go. So the story from Arizona that is going to be coming up, I can tell you guys a little bit about it. The name of the victim is Skylar Pope, and he's 36 years old, I believe. Yes, 36 years old, lived in Arizona. The storyteller describes him as a bit of an adrenaline junkie, that he liked doing things like jumping off of the roof into a swimming pool, saying crazy things like that, and had a motorcycle that he loved, had a couple of injuries. Anyway, you'll see the story tomorrow. It'll premiere at 10:30 Central Time tomorrow. So we have, it looks like we have 6 people with us right now. I appreciate you guys being here. So do you guys have any questions for me? Anything you would like to know more about regarding our channel or about the topics that we address? We don't just focus on a particular topic. Most of our content has been related to fentanyl poisoning over the last couple of years, but we do have other topics as well. We have a series of addiction recovery stories, a series of human trafficking stories, a set of programs about, they're not really a series, they're different, but they address impaired driving issues, not really from not addressing the drinking aspect at all. It's about the decision to drive after being impaired or while you're impaired. And there's a documentary about distracted driving and a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids, fake weed, spice, K2, things like that. It's a documentary that we produced several years ago with the city of Baytown, Texas, and the Baytown Police Department, and we had access to a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. We interviewed police officers and paramedics and psychiatrist, medical doctor, a emergency room physician. We interviewed a couple of users on street level, homeless, synthetic cannabinoid users. And it was quite an adventure. One of the big things about that project was not so much the content, which is good, solid, important content, but the way that we did it. It was very much a guerrilla style production with a team of volunteer teenagers, mostly high school and some college students who had some sort of career interest in filmmaking or journalism or law enforcement or writing, something along those lines. And so by having this opportunity to volunteer, they were able to get real life experience in something related to the field that they want to pursue, and worked out really well. We've done that with 3 documentaries now, and has worked out really well. The other 2 were documentaries that are about impaired driving. Both of those were with the Houston Police Department and had teams of teenagers working behind the scene. And when you watch these programs, you don't get any sense that it's teenagers that are involved. It's not that kind of story. It is a real documentary. And in one of them, you meet some of the teenagers. They're interviewed in the documentary, but you don't. It's not you don't look at it and think, "Wow, this is a good story for something done by teenagers." You just look at it, and hopefully you feel like it's a good story. They have all won awards, and they've all been featured in film festivals, and so they're, I suppose you would call them hits. So you guys are being pretty quiet. Anybody have any questions for me? Anything you'd like to ask? We were live for a little while this morning, and I did that just to get an idea of what kind of audience is out there in the morning hours before noon Central Time. I expected we might hear from a few more people out of the country, people that where it's later in the day where they're at, people in Europe or further Australia or wherever. And so there was a little bit of that. So while we're here, I want to take a minute to remind you guys about this. Naloxone. Naloxone is the opioid reversing drug, opioid overdose reducing drug that is in Narcan and many other equally effective alternatives. So even though Narcan is a much easier word to use, it's more accurate to use the word naloxone. You can see that there's 5 versions of naloxone. They're all nasal sprayers. They all function exactly the same way, but only one of them says Narcan. So I feel like that is So I feel like that's an important thing to stay aware of. So I try to share that pretty regularly. I could just picture in some party environment where everybody's a little bit impaired and someone passes out, and one of those other boxes is available to treat their friend, but it doesn't say Narcan on it anywhere. It just says naloxone. And so I could see this argument taking place that delays treatment for their friend because they can't find the word Narcan, and that's all they've ever heard. So I feel like it's important to use the word naloxone whenever you can. So who's with us? Who's with us? We got looks like there's about 10 people with us right now, and not hearing from anybody. So what's going on with you guys? What kind of questions do you have for me? Where are things at with you? I'm guessing that most of the people in the audience right now are people who follow our fentanyl poisoning series primarily. But I always like to remind people that there are other stories. That's why we have that opening video that we play at the beginning of the of some of our live events, because I want to remind people that there are other things on our channel that are equally important. Here's V. V is lurking. You've been there long, V? Leaving me here all alone with nothing to interact with. Fine. So, but on our channel, we have stories about addiction recovery. We have over 40, I believe, and we probably have 10 more or so that we've shot that we haven't edited yet. And we're working on that, but editing takes a while. So we're working on it. And we have stories about human trafficking. And those stories are a little more challenging as far as finding storytellers who'd like to share their story. But we have I want to say 7 or 8. We are also developing a domestic violence series. We have one story shot. It's not quite ready to go public yet, but it's close. And we'll be shooting another domestic violence story when we're shooting at our storytelling summit that's going to happen in Denver in June. We'll also be shooting in Wichita, Kansas in June. Going to spend a couple of days there shooting stories on the way to Denver. So that's the big plan with that. So V, what's going on with you? You were in on the premiere last night, if I remember right. It seems like I remember seeing your name in the chat. Lurking. 90 days, almost 90 days. So tell me this, V, what would you tell someone who's not there yet? What is the biggest fear that keeps people from moving toward what is the biggest fear that keeps people from moving toward recovery? You're saying that because we're alone. Yeah. Withdrawal. It's just that physical sickness that comes from withdrawal. So what do you say to someone to minimize that fear, to bring that fear down a little bit? Because clearly it is a tough thing to go through withdrawal. But what can you tell people to give them a little bit of encouragement or strength to cross that line? To try, or to want to try. You got to want it that bad. Yeah, I hear that a lot. That it's really about being in a place in your head where you're ready, really, really ready to let it go. You're struggling. Well, what can we do to help? There's this wonderful network of support here. I don't see many of the usual suspects here right now, but there is a wonderful network of support here. And people like Brenda and Nuxamich. After 18 years, I feel so awake. So that's a reward thing, isn't it? Isn't that something where you like, wow, Wow, here I am. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling these things that have been out of my life for a long time. Where did everyone go? Well, it's a different time of day. And I think for some people some people have, day jobs and do another thing. So I think that's why that it is a smaller group right now, but it does seem to be growing. Buffy's world. Yeah, why aren't you guys liking the video? Where is the thumbs up thing? Thank you, Buffy. Buffy, I don't remember seeing your name before. Is this your first time joining a live event or a first time commenting? And how are the likes coming? We have five likes now. Thanks, folks. That's something. Yes, it is. I was watching a video and noticed you were live. Were you watching one of our videos or something else? I've never been happier since being off opioids. That is awesome. That's the thing to hang on to when you're having a hard time. Is all the obvious cliche stuff, I suppose, but the fact that you're feeling everything. Your video. Thank you, Buffy. So which video was it, Buff? I don't know where that came from. Which video were you watching? If you don't remember the name, that's okay. You tell me a few details of the story, I can probably figure it out. Was it one of the fentanyl videos? Or something else? We have addiction recovery stories, and we have human trafficking stories. There's stories about law enforcement. There's a few different topics, stories that matter. That's our slogan. Still just 5 likes. A thumbs up. Thumbs up. Just click the little button. I've never been happier since being off opioids. That seems like something that would be good for you to repeat to yourself in the mirror every morning. Just remind yourself of how far you've come in a relatively short time and how much better you feel right now. And just imagine as the days and months and years go by, how that feeling is just going to keep getting better and better. Yeah, I keep looking around because I have a lot going on here. There's a screen over this way, and there's a screen right in front of me, and then there's you guys. And the news is playing in the background, but I'm trying to ignore that. That's what the pharmacy said, that only 2% make it. I've heard that before. I feel like that 2% number is too low. And maybe that's just me being optimistic. But I feel like there are some people who go through withdrawal and detox and get into recovery, and their experience never becomes part of the count. Because they do it in a private way. They do it not really on their own. There's some support out there somewhere. Probably there is family members, or there's close friends or whatever, but their recovery never gets documented. And so I think 2% is a little bit, it's got to be low, right? How do you come up with that number? Is there statistics that it's a projection? That where does the data come from? Does it just come from rehabs? Does it just come from detox facilities or whatever? Where does the data come from to qualify that 2% number? I just think it's low. I think it's got to be low. Jayla Michael, only from scripts, I guess, maybe. Jayla Michael's story. That one has received a lot of attention, a lot more attention than most of our stories. In a very short amount of time, Jayla Michael's story, it's over 150,000 views. Over 163,000 views, which is about 10 times more than usual. And glad that the story is reaching more people, for sure. I'd love to figure out why and how to bring more of our stories to more people that way. Just feels important. Yeah, only from scripts. So if that number is only based on prescription, on addiction to prescriptions, it can't be accurate, because a lot of addictions out there are not prescription. So the number's got to be higher. It's got to be. It's a giant accomplishment, regardless, but the number's got to be higher than 2%. I've heard it before, but I don't know how. I don't think that there's a qualified way to come up with a number like that. There's not a qualified way to know how recovery works long term, other than data accumulated by recovery facilities or rehab facilities about their programs. So yes, the Jayla Michelle's story, that's a powerful story. We shot that in Pensacola, Florida. Hammer Davis, the father, was our event coordinator for Pensacola, and he found us a place to shoot the interviews. He found us an actual, genuine production facility to shoot the interviews in that was donated, a place called Hellcat Hangar in Pensacola. And those guys were awesome folks, very, very, very supportive and friendly, just a good bunch of people. Hellcat Hangar. If you ever have a reason to hire a production studio in Pensacola, Florida, they're the people to go to. I was very impressed. They do a lot of work with the Blue Angels, and so that's pretty cool. So Buffy, what is your story? You didn't expect that coming, did you? Just put you on the spot and ask you, okay, tell me about you. Buffy's World. So you're a are you you have a channel, and do you create content? Is that kind of sounds like a content creating kind of name? Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Buffy, but I'm very, very glad that you're here. Very, very grateful. We appreciate you guys that join us, especially on these live events. These live events work out great for me because I get to learn from the audience, from the audience who opts to communicate, to share insights and perceptions, talk about the impact that the stories have, gives us feedback on things we might should do differently. Like we kind of go back and forth with including music in the programs. Some people, some viewers complain when music is used. Some people complain when music isn't used. Even called a racist once because of music not being in a program that had a black storyteller. Kind of seemed like kind of a stretch, but yeah. What advice for people in early days of sobriety dealing with tragedy? My mom just died. The first thing that jumps out to me, V, is that you got to be around other people. Like you're around other people here. We don't have our group of usual suspects in the size that we normally have here, but you're around a group of people here, and I think that being around people makes a giant difference. A giant difference. That I saw this thing. I saw it on Facebook this morning. In fact, that it was a video from someone giving a presentation about. Oh wow. Okay, we'll get back to that. Someone was giving a presentation about addiction. And they were talking about an experiment that involved a mouse alone in a cage, given two options: water or water that also contained heroin or cocaine. And so the mouse would always go to the water bottle that had the drug in it and would eventually die. But the flaw with that is that the mouse is in the cage alone. The presenter talked about how the experiment was repeated, except there was an environment with other mice. And they didn't go to the drugged water at all. So be with people Be with people. Don't sit alone. Be with people. Go to do a group. Go to AA or NA or whatever. Go to a church. Join a bowling league. Whatever works for you. There has got to be something where you can be with a group, where you can have people where you have bonds with them. One of the great values of AA and NA is accountability. AA and groups like that, having a sponsor, having a whatever you want to name it. It doesn't have to be considered a sponsor. It can be whatever. But having someone that you're accountable to, and someone who is accountable to you, someone who is counting on your success for their success. Having that person or that group that if you slip, you have this sense that you're letting them down. But that you also know they are not going to abandon you. Taylor, thank you for joining us. Praying God's comfort and strength for you, V. Also, my advice is to cry out and talk to Jesus Christ about whatever is on your heart. That's good, solid advice too. That I mentioned church earlier. Church can be a great place to find that network of support. Sometimes it can be a challenge to find the church that is the right kind of fit for you. I go to a church. It's a non-denominational church, and I would love to brag about how I found it, but I didn't find it at all. My wife found it, and it has been just a wonderful thing for me. It's the fellowship. It's a great learning experience to attend. Definitely a great learning experience, but the real strength, the real reward is the fellowship. I have this place where I can share my struggles and my successes, and these friends, this community is a part of it. Well, it's very useful. Thank you so much, Taylor. I do put my faith first. Good job. Touched by Brit. Touched by Brit. That's an interesting screen name for sure. I hope Brit is a good person. Yeah, thank you, Taylor. So, Taylor, I feel like your name is new here. Have you been with one of these live events or one of the premieres before, or changed your name, or are you new? Taylor McKibbins. What else? Okay, there's Touched by Brit. Well, okay, so I used to have a coworker. His name was Brit. I'm just saying, funny guy, very funny guy. So V, are you holding up okay? Are you hanging in there? There's resources out there. Surely you're aware that there's resources out there. The challenge is you have to make you have to make the effort in some kind of way. You have to call out. We're here for you. There's others too. Taylor, I'm new. I also watched Jayla Michelle's video today. My first time coming across your channel. Well, welcome. So I can tell you a little bit about the channel. That Jayla's story is one of 240 stories related to fentanyl poisoning, fentanyl awareness on our channel. We also have a series of addiction and recovery stories. There's about 40 of those, and they're in the playlists. There is also a series of human trafficking stories. Cool thing about human trafficking stories and the recovery stories is that those stories are stories of victory. We are also developing a series about domestic violence, which are also going to be stories of victory. And some other stuff. I'm forgetting right now. Cannabis-induced psychosis. We're going to be shooting stories in Denver in June about cannabis-induced psychosis, much the same way that we shoot the stories about fentanyl poisoning and addiction recovery and human trafficking, same kind of format. So let me see where I'm at. Need more victory stories. Thank you, Glow in the Dark. Okay, Touched by Britt. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm in recovery for alcohol. I'm also a substance abuse counselor at a methadone clinic. So you would really like some of the addiction recovery stories that are in our series. I think that you might find some, if not all of them, pretty powerful and maybe useful to the work that you do. Maybe there'd be something that you would want to show to people you counsel. Maybe. We also have a couple of stories in our fentanyl poisoning series that are with a counselor, a licensed professional counselor, that have to do with dealing with grief. That a lot of the people who watch our channel are people who have lost someone to fentanyl. We get a lot of comments in the comments from on the stories that are from people who talk about how they also lost a loved one, a son, daughter, spouse, sibling. And so we have a couple of stories on our channel that are about dealing with grief. One is called Life After Loss, and the other one is called Grief Feels Like Crazy. And both of these involve the same counselor. Her name is Heather Lambert, and she is pretty amazing. It's always a joy to shoot I wouldn't even call it an interview. I'll ask her one question and then off she goes. And she shares these wonderfully insightful, useful bits of information. I usually listen to the fentanyl stories before I go to sleep. Oh, there's that word again. Listen. I realize that the stories can just be listened to But holy cow, when we're doing the editing, we are looking at facial expressions and timing things out with cutaways to pictures, and it's there's a lot to see in the stories too. I'm just being a filmmaker, you know. So anyway, sorry, but listening's good too. Glow in the dark. Okay, let me see it. Yes, I will get you some links here. You got to bear with me for a minute because, you know, I have a lot going on. I'm live right now, so just all right, all right. I'll get the links here. All right. All right. Life after loss. This story is this is the first one, and I am putting it in the chat now. I'm putting the link in. Life after loss. Okay, there's the link to that one. Life after loss with Heather Lambert. And I'll get the next one. All right, and here is Grief Feels Like Crazy. So both of those really kind of are all about addressing dealing with loss, very much like the loss that V mentioned earlier. And Heather is just she's really gold with this stuff. She is she's wonderful. Bye, Glenn. We tried writing you. We'll try again. Thank you so much for supporting everybody. You tried writing me, and what happened? What did it not get through? You are. What name should I look for? I can check for it right now. Of course, you know it's live. Oh yeah. Okay. So you guys are welcome to email me. We have an email in our closing graphic that I'll be showing in a while, but you can also email me. I can put my email in here. The catch is if the way that YouTube typically handles it is it sees that .com on the end and assumes it's a website. So I can put my email in parentheses like that, and you can copy and paste it to email me, and that'll work fine. Just copy and paste it without the parentheses, you know. So okay, glow in the dark is it possible with the okay? I did that. Thank you for being here, V. Feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll do our best to keep in touch. But don't be alone. Don't be alone. So sorry, I was reading an email. I thought it might have been from one of you guys. Okay, Taylor, Glenn, what got you into filming these stories? Just a little history, if you care to share. The stories are definitely impactful, and I know you're aware. Well, I've always kind of had a passion for these kinds of topics. We call them stories that matter. And Texas Pictures has been, it's my company, and it's been around since 2007. And we've had a YouTube channel since 2009. But most of the work that we did during those years has been industrial production work, training and safety videos, business to business kind of marketing videos, and occasionally we would get to do a documentary for something. And the first few documentaries that we did were with the Houston Police Department, things that had to do with drunk driving and that kind of thing. And that's really where my passion is. And once we did some projects for the Houston Police Department, we started becoming kind of known for that. And we did a project with the Baytown Police Department and did work with other law enforcement agencies, started doing work with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which I just received an email from. Revisions. And because of all that, we're kind of known for that kind of work and that kind of space. And so about 2.5 years ago, the DEA hired us to do stories just like these stories that we're doing now. The DEA hired us to do these stories at a fentanyl awareness summit for families that was held here in Houston. And so we did that. And when we put the stories up to that point, for the first, 15 years, 14 years that we had a YouTube channel, we managed to accumulate about 1,600 subscribers. And then the DEA event happened. And we started posting those stories on our channel, just like we've always done. We really just used the channel as a way to showcase our work, and all of our work would have been for clients, or virtually all of our work was for clients, was for hire. And then we started posting the stories from that fentanyl summit that the DEA put on, and they took off. And big time, they took off. And so we kept doing it. And they keep taking off more. And so we found that because of the advertising on YouTube, we're able to keep the series sustainable. We have no client, we have no sponsor, we have no grants, we have no funding of any kind other than the revenue that comes from the advertising on YouTube, and that makes it all sustainable. Every time we go on a location to shoot stories, we're rolling the dice, but it's a sustainable thing. And it makes the other series, the addiction and recovery series and the human trafficking series and the domestic violence series that we're developing, it makes all of those things possible. So for me, I am very much in a sweet spot that I am only accountable to the audience, you guys, and the storyteller. What a great place to be. So just a little history. Was that just a little history? Was that too much? Did that take too long? I don't know. But that's how it happened. So, for a little bit more, the way that. All good. Okay. The way that our stories work typically is we will have someone somewhere in the country contact us about wanting to share the story of their loved one. And from that, we'll explain to them what we need to do stories, and we will organize a storytelling summit in that area. And that first contact person becomes our event coordinator, our local event coordinator, and that person finds a place for us to shoot the interviews and finds a few storytellers. They don't get a whole full schedule. They don't need to. Sometimes they do. The event in Denver is booked solid for 2.5 days of shooting stories. So here's a map. This is not every place we've been anymore. It's missing 3 stars in northern Florida. These are the places that we have shot stories in over the last 18, 20 months or so. And in every one of these locations, the event began with someone local wanting us to come there. And at each one of these locations, we shot somewhere between 8 and 20 or so stories while we were there over the course of 1, 2, 3 days. So I hope I haven't spent too much time delving into answering your question. I just wanted to try to be thorough, and I love letting you guys know that we're available to do stories anywhere if there's an interest, and if there's people who would like to share their story. We have events coming up in Denver, like I mentioned, Wichita, Kansas, Virginia, Seattle, and someplace in Florida. So I appreciate you asking. It's an easy way it's an easy question to answer for me. So I appreciate you guys joining us. It is cool. I really appreciate that there are some oh, Deidre, look at you. It's like you know when I'm about to wrap it up. I see how it is. So glad you're here, Deidre. You know, we have a premiere scheduled for tomorrow morning. It's a story of Skylar Pope. And it is going to be at 10:30 Central Time tomorrow. And I'll be live again after that. And that's the big goings on that is happening. Appreciate you being here, but I'm afraid we're about to wrap it up here. That we've been live for a little over an hour, and I got other stuff I got to do. I have another program to work on, and some client work to deal with. Yeah, last night we had some difficulty with our live event, and so I had said that I would come back on this afternoon and spend a little time here, and this has been great. We've met some new people here that we don't usually see in the evenings. Taylor McGibbons, and where am I at? Touched by Brit. A couple of names that look new. Of course, it's okay, Deidre. Prayer is a wonderful tool. If you think about prayer, if you think about the act of praying, not about faith, but just the act of praying, is a process where it's a mental exercise where you prioritize the things that you're grateful for, the things that are important to you, and the things you want to make better. That is a great mental exercise, regardless of the faith connection. There's people talking about the power of prayer. Of course, there's power to prayer. That's a well, duh. Of course there is. It organizes your thoughts. It's a great exercise. Franklin Covey talks about that. So I'm just saying. I didn't mean to get off on prayer. I hate to see our viewers just take a crash because I talked about prayer. But I think it's a wonderfully effective tool. So, love to everyone here, and God bless you all. Thank you, Deidre. I'm very grateful for you being here, and everybody else too. And very cool to have met some new folks here. We will do the live thing again in the afternoon now and then, and evenings tend to work best. It seems like that's when people most expect us to be here. And so we keep doing that. But yeah, some afternoon events, and I'm going to do a couple of morning events over the next couple of weeks. I want to do some morning events just to see if we hear from different people. There's some people who follow our channel. There's some people who follow our channel who do who do a lot of commenting on the stories, and they're in the UK, and they're in Europe and Australia, and so I feel like if we kind of mix up the times that we're on, we might reach more of those folks who, you know, in the UK right now it is 10 o'clock at night. I believe that's right. 10:30 at night. Thank you all very much for being here with us. I'm very grateful, and as always, we have the same graphic that we're going to end with. That I always like to remind you folks that you guys are always welcome to reach out to me. You're welcome to reach out to me through the channel. You can find me on Facebook. We have a private storytellers group on Facebook that you can't find it by searching. It's a by invitation thing, but in that group is people who have shared stories with us and people who want to share stories with us. And so you guys are always welcome to reach out, and thanks for the barrage of hearts and smiley faces and one. Okay, yeah. So thanks for. So you guys really, you're always welcome to reach out to us. I'm trying to find the sweet spot of the microphone here. I'm learning as I go. So, because I've only been working in production for since 1988, so I'm still figuring it out. Anyway, so here is our contact information. You can email us at info@texas-pictures.com. Find us on Facebook, and there's our website, Texas-pictures.com. Texas-pictures.com. Don't spell out the word dash. And thank you all for joining us. And I will be back tomorrow around 10:45 live again after the premiere of episode 240. So thanks to everyone for joining us.